What is going on? You are watching and listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition. This is episode 388.
Okay.
I'm your host,
I'm ready.
Steve V, alongside Kodi Maurice Doggette. How are you, Kodi? How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Oh, we started.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. Oh, you got edit that part out, darling.
There's no editing on this show. Sorry. Anyways, yes, we started the show. I was like, I'm starting, and we 9 o'clock.
I didn't hear you say that. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. Anyways, glad you're doing good. Glad you're back from Atlantic City.
I know.
I am so excited to report back that I did speed dating yesterday here in New York City.
How was that?
Oh my gosh. It was really, I have to say, such a good experience for so many reasons. It was put on by the men event here in New York City. Shout out to the men event. Hugh runs the event. He's been doing it since 2004. And, we got this sheet that I'm showing you right now that you filled out at the beginning. It had like a huge sheet at the beginning and explained how it was going to work. There was 2 groups of guys. There was the 37 and under, and then the 37 and older, which of course I was in that group.
I mean, barely, darling.
Barely. Well, I have a couple stories on that related to that.
Well,
so
can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
Can you set the scene for me? Where do they hold this? Is it the VFW? Is it at a hotel?
Okay, so it was at
go upstairs afterwards. I don't know. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, so it was at a restaurant in Midtown, adjacent to Times Square, called Et Cetera, Et Cetera. It's an Italian restaurant, and they happened to have an upstairs, I guess, event space. So they were able to create the chairs and the speed dating tables with numbers on them. And they told everybody, after you signed in, mingle, get a drink, and relax. And when Hugh gave us how this was going to work, one of the things that I think I really loved was he says, you're going to get a sheet, and it's also associated with an app on your phone that he was going to turn on midway through the event. Many of us had already filled out our profiles on there with our picture, so you would know who you're compatible with after the event, correct?
Okay.
And so the whole point is, when you're done, when you go home that night, last night, you go on the app and you choose the ones that you were compatible with. And then this morning, which I'll tell you, you get your results. So you're following me? Because lots to cover on that. Okay,
math happens overnight, and then they tell you who you match with in the morning.
Right. And one of my favorite things about the entire event, let me pull you down because I'm not even looking at you, looking at my screen here. Let me tell you. So one of the things that I loved about the event that Hugh gave the speech about was, listen, everybody is in the same boat, right? And which we were. So we're all there to meet. So not just leave your ego at the door, but just relax into the event and be yourself and go with the whole thing. The other thing that I really loved about it was that he said, you're trying to meet your match, right? So we all have types that we all know, that we've got that type that really gets us going. But he said, how's that working for you?
Oh my goodness.
Which I love that, because
already a read. Is it the first 5 minutes?
Yes, this was in the first 5 minutes. And I kind of love that too, because Kodi, we all have our types and the of men that we just are lusting after. Porn certainly doesn't help. And we're walking down the streets here in New York City and LA, wherever you live, you're lusting after guys all the time. But how often do we really get to sit down and talk to somebody and see if they're more of a match? I mean, you're ultimately looking for a compatibility of somebody that you want to spend time with, maybe a lifetime with, who knows, or a date at the very least. So what I really liked about that, the other thing that I really liked about what he said was, on the list, you're going to be able to check if you want to go on a second date with them.
Okay.
But here's the part that I loved. You can also check if it's friendship. So let's just see if I met somebody like you back in the day, I would be, friendship for
That's
sure.
deets forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or there was even a box to check for business on there too.
Oh, cute. So
Which was really, yeah, go ahead.
potentially I could go to this speed dating thing with the intent of just finding friends. Is this something that you can go to just for friends?
I know
I'm
you
trying
keep
to find
pushing this
friends.
concept, but no, you can't. You
I want to
can't.
go so bad. Take me with you.
You are partnered up. So I would say no. You can obviously do whatever you want and
I'm
sneak
calling the
in.
man. Okay.
You can sneak in to the
Go on
event and do
Grindr.
this.
People go on Grindr just for friends too. Why can't I go to speed dating just
Because
for
I
friends?
think the core of this event is dating. It's called speed dating. What I like about it is they have the categories of friendship and business in there. You would be going in there under false pretenses, already partnered up, and it would be unfair to everybody. You're likely going to find somebody that's going to like you, and it's going to be really unfair.
I mean, obvi. But okay, so I should just start speed friending, is what you're telling me.
Yes. And apps like Bumble, my sister was telling me Bumble has a whole category on there where you can swipe for friendship, but you can also swipe for BFFs they have on Bumble, which I think is really good too, because sometimes you just want to meet a friend, or in this case, you had 5-minute dates. I went on 8. So I went on 8 dates of 5 minutes each.
Okay.
And I have to say that there was more. And there was more people that I could have gone on dates with. It's just the way the math worked out. I feel I lucked out with the dates that I got by luck of the draw and where I was standing.
Yeah.
The other, I really, 90% of every date I went on was not maybe a match, but I enjoyed the conversation and it was good. And I thought, I like the set of guys that I got, because I didn't get every guy in there to be able to date, and that was fine with me. The other thing I liked that I somehow luck of the draw again was I didn't have to move. So in other words, I was sitting at this one space.
This is perfect for you.
Yes, I love it, because some of us got this one area where we just sat there and people came to us. So I was not doing musical chairs, romper room, pin the Dale on the donkey, none of that stuff. I was planted in my throne, ready to go, and I loved it. The other thing that I'll tell you that was fun was one guy, shout out to, Chris. We just go by Chris.
Oh, you're naming names on the show.
He recognized me from the show and listens to the show and heard that. Chris. Yeah, and he says he's a fan of the show. We're going to be friends. We both clicked the box of friendship, which was really cool. So shout out to Chris, and he listens to us. I heard that I was going to go on this too randomly, and thought that was pretty fun to. What were some of my other notes? So the one thing I'll say about the speed dating, it's really loud, and Hugh made this whole point about, don't be afraid to be funny and get your funny side in. I can be funny, definitely. Yeah, but I have to tell you, in 5 minutes, you really don't get a lot of time to do that. You pretty much have to get in there and ask a question. They ask a question. You got to ping pong it back and forth, and you got to get down to business, because they ding that ding and they move on.
And then your date is done.
You mark your sheet up.
You grade them.
You grade them.
You're like a substitute teacher.
You might write like one guy I had a date with. It was so fun. I had 8 dates last night, Kodi.
I love it. You know what?
Efficiency.
Quantity, and quality.
And efficiency. I was totally into it. One of them was Australian. I really liked his accent, so I wrote Australian in there. And you wrote whatever. One guy was going on an Atlantis cruise.
Girl.
Well, we talked about that, and he was one of the ones that I ended up matching up. So let me give you the results, and then you can ask
a quick question beforehand.
Yeah, because I want to give you the results of what ultimately occurred.
So, did you have your questions planned out before you went on, or you just saw the guy and you thought of questions after they told you what they? How did you go about asking your questions?
So, truth be told, I was a little nervous. Like I was
Okay.
all game for this whole thing leading up to it, and of course, I got there. I these days I get to everything early. I'm early for everything. Like
Hmm.
I used to be the late guy. Now I'm early for everything. But I got into. I know I just am. But what I did was I got off the subway and I went to a bar. I found a bar and I thought I'm just gonna go have a quick drink by myself and
Yeah.
chill,
Good.
set the tone on that you're just going to be
Your
happy,
intention.
set your intention of that this is elective, this is fun,
Hmm.
there is no pressure here, and have a good time. So I kind of went in with that. I know how to spark up conversation.
Yeah, you're very
At the very
good. A
least, one of the things,
conversationalist.
if I was at a loss for words, one of the first things I would tell a guy was, have you ever done this before?
Oh,
Were
cool.
you nervous before you coming in here today? One of those breaker of the ice questions.
Okay.
And that got us into the mix, and it was really good. Again, I really liked the slew of people. Let me read you
Okay.
my ultimate. So I went home. I pretty much knew who I was compatible with. Well, let me tell you one thing
Okay.
before I get to my results.
Okay. Go.
Two of the people I had a date with were probably three of them I was incompatible with that I just knew, and it was fine. It wasn't nothing. They were nice guys. One of them was the first guy, and it was just getting it going. And I think
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not really compatible with this guy. He's fine and whatever. Two of the guys, though, were around my age. So,
Okay.
and one of the guys, I started the conversation and I said simply, do you go out much? Meaning like, is this, have you done this before? Or have you been going out lately? And he said, I'm 55.
Ooh.
So, I
Oh,
mean,
he said, I'm grown.
and that, and so I said, well, I'm 51. He could not believe it at all, nor could this other guy believe my age. And they
Uh-huh.
like floored, stopping, like when the one guy was nice and let it go finally and complimented me, which is always a thing my sister and I talk about a lot, is there is a way, I get this a lot, you don't look your age at all, and they're
Yeah.
floored, they're stopped in their tracks. And but there's a way to kind of just segue out of it and not make a big deal about it. And then there's
Okay.
another way, which is one of these guys who could not let it go and make the
What?
whole thing about I can't real it's just they can't let it go.
So you didn't match with him?
No, and the other thing is I realized is I don't think I match with my age group because I had this conversation with my sister. We don't match with our age group because we don't buy into what it means to be our age.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm out there, I'm working out, I'm doing this, I go out, and a lot of people my age buy into the whole idea that, well, I'm 55 and
I have to
therefore
start
that
doing
means this.
this. Yeah.
And I turn the radio off the minute I start hearing people go down. It's like, I'm like, oh yeah, no, I can already tell. But I humor you and
Yeah.
and I think you're old, you act old. And you and I I've never bought into my age group. Nope. And wouldn't you know it, the ones, as I'm going to read my results, were all in their
Okay.
late 30s.
Oh, fabulous. So that
And,
answers another one of my questions.
and they picked me too. So that's the whole thing. Because the only way you're going to get a match in an email the next day is who did you match up with? But it doesn't, I could say I liked, I'm making up, John Adams,
Quincy.
and say I want to go on a second date, but if he doesn't pick me on for a second date on his end, there's no match.
Oh,
So what I
fabulous.
really like about it is you're getting people that were already you literally matched up with. They had to click the button that said date. Now, mind you, the ones that I picked, also I put friendship too, because Hugh, the leader of the event, said, don't be afraid to click more than one box,
Okay.
business and date, friendship and date. I clicked friendship. If I wanted to go on a date with you, I also clicked friendship because
Oh,
to me,
good.
that was going to be, if I like you enough to go on a date, I also like you to be a friend.
That's right. Yeah, I agree
So
with you.
finally, my results came back where I went on 8 dates. I ended up matching with 4 people for friendships and
Ooh.
2 for dates.
Oh, she's popular. I
Well,
love
and the
it.
2 people that I matched up with for dates were my 2 top picks that I connected. One of them I really connected with. I thought we had a great conversation. I also was really attracted to him. So I was hoping for him, and thank God he wants to go on a date. And the other one was I went on a throuple date because of the numbers.
Wait a minute.
It was me.
now.
Yeah, 3 of us were in a throuple date for 5 minutes, and we're both vying for this whole thing. And I was like, you know what, whatever. But I really had seen this guy before, and I thought he's so cute. I think he's in the 37 and under. But turns out he was in my group.
What?
And the limited conversation that we ended up having, he wants to go on a date too. So I'm excited with those results, right?
That.
Yeah.
That is so exciting. You are very popular. I knew you would be. I had all the faith in you. And I'm so glad that a throuple date, that must have been crazy. How were you? You're like vying for their attention, weren't you?
Kinda. I mean, it was. I mean, we just all went for it because it was just whatever. And we all threw in a question here or there. I think I was playing host like I do here and leading the conversation off on how it should go. But I really thought this guy, the one guy, was attractive. But I also thought the guy sitting across from me liked him too. And I thought, well, it is what it is. And you just played it out.
What if you guys are meant to be in a threesome relationship?
No, I did not pick this. I did not like check off the box of that guy at all.
The
so
other
no,
guy.
I'm not into him.
No,
and
I
that's
get
the
it.
thing.
No,
If you're
totally
not, and he was older too, and just I could already tell. I am a little bit prejudiced towards people my age and older, just because they act older, and I don't.
They act older, yes.
Most of them do.
Okay, I mean, if
I'm sticking with that. You can prove me wrong, people, but
do your thing, girl. Live your life. Okay. I do have one more question.
Yes.
How much can you find out about somebody in 5 minutes? It seems like such a short amount of time.
Well, it's meant to spark, are you attracted to the person? Are they not an idiot? You can kind of rule that out. Well, that's kind of that was the level field I was going. Are you an idiot? Are you somewhat attractive? There were some that I wasn't actually necessarily totally attracted to, but how did they present themselves? Did they have something to say? And I think you have to really, like Hugh said, creator of the event, if you are somewhat of a introvert, put a little gas in your tank. And I like that. So that's
what's up.
So to answer your question, you only got 5 minutes and you got to put some gas in your tank and show up. And that's pretty much it. Also, it's just meant to show, would you want to either be friends or go on a date with this person? So that's where you'll really get to know the person. It's not, I'm going to hopefully go on separate dates with these 2 different guys, and then I'll get to really know them. But this just makes it compatible to find out, would you even want to go on a date with this person?
Yeah. Okay.
So I like that.
Nice.
Because
I love that too.
The apps don't work for me at all. I can't. I just can't do the whole thing. I'm so bored. I see so many people on their phone in the gym and everywhere. I barely respond to texts. I just don't like the phone very much. I use it for what it is and I throw it down. I want to watch like Netflix or theater. I don't want to be on my phone. I want to sit across from somebody and talk to somebody. So for me, this works really well.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how your 2 dates go and how these new friends go. I gotta approve of these new friends before they in the new group. Okay.
Got it. Of course. Yes. Well, I will report back on. I've got to reach out to these 2 guys. I'm going to do it tomorrow morning when I get up and ask them out, say, hey, we matched, and hopefully they will respond and then we can go on a date. Then I will report back on the show too.
I can't wait. I cannot wait to hear all about it.
Yeah. If you have it in your city, I highly recommend it. I think it's just a great way to sit across from somebody and get off of the phone. outside of the bar and really just everybody is there for the same reason. It's a level playing field and it's no big deal. And if you don't really match up, it's not a big deal at all either. It's not that serious. So it's just fun.
And be on the lookout for Kodi's speed friending, trademark pending 2020.
Okay, well, we can do that too. Yes, absolutely. All right, well, we got to move on to the rest of the show. We are still doing our book club. If you haven't already gotten our official book club selection, Heaven's Official Blessings. Did you get yours, Kodi?
It is. It's in the other room. I would have brought it.
Have you started it?
I started it in Atlantic City. Yes.
Okay, good.
First couple pages.
Good, right?
Good.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, it's really good. Heaven's Official Blessings. And we will have a talk soon about that and let you know a little bit more about that. All right. Well, we've got to talk about monkeypox a little bit more. I know you're like, what?
No, I'm here for it. I'm gearing up and ready for it because this is necessary.
Yes. And what we really want to talk about today, because this is episode 388, is patient stigma that I saw in a couple different stories. One of them was on the news where blood banks are actually refusing to draw blood from, and their commercial labs because of monkeypox in some of the patients that they are seeing, which is really unheard of because even though you have to swab the scabs, that's how you tell if somebody has monkeypox or not, and then take that to the lab, you still want to check their blood because you want to be able to rule out that it actually is monkeypox and not some other virus that is blood related. And that's why, and then you can keep track of the numbers. That's what's linked to funding. So we're slowing down the process if we're turning away, which is total stigma. The other is a story out in Spain where things went from bad to worse when a doctor noticed a guy on the subway in Spain with lesions like monkeypox, as they're calling it. This is Madrid. Dr. Arturo M. Henriquez posted the story in a series of tweets, which were translated, quote, "I see the situation and I also see the people around me as if nothing will happen," he wrote. The doctor said he decided to become, this is his words, a Karen, and approach the man who said his own doctor advised him he didn't need to isolate and simply wear a mask. That is crazy.
How does that make any sense?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. So he says, I tell the guy, this is the doctor talking, I tell him that the injuries all over his body are what are most contagious, that I am a doctor and that he possibly did not understand all the indications of his family doctor. When the doctor then turned over to a woman because he wasn't getting anywhere with the man, he told the woman standing also on the subway, aren't you concerned about that? And she said, no, this is a gay disease and gays need to take care of themselves. Government said that it was the gays who had to take care of themselves. So we're talking about a lot of things, about misinformation, about stigmatization, on and on. When you first heard about this though, Kodi, what were your thoughts?
I just thought it was really sad, and it just highlights how much misinformation and really just people being ignorant out there and irresponsible out in these streets, how they're being. It feels like after COVID, so many people are more selfish, and for this guy to be amongst the populace with monkeypox lesions, it just really highlights that it's going way too far to the left, and people really need to start locking down and taking care of themselves and taking care of other people as well.
Yeah, I think the blood banks, it does harken back to another era. There was a huge protest at an HIV conference of people protesting all the lack of information, vaccinations recently that just occurred that was huge. I also think that the CDC has
Mhm.
come out and said monkeypox symptoms usually start within 3 weeks of exposure to the virus,
Wow,
saying
that's a
that
long
if someone
incubation
has
period.
flu-like symptoms, they should usually develop a rash 1 to 4 days later. Now, here's the part, and then we'll talk about what we've seen. Monkeypox can be spread from the time symptoms start until the rash has healed,
Wow.
comma, all scabs have fallen off, comma, and a fresh layer of skin has formed. And the illness typically lasts 2 to 4 weeks. So if this guy on the subway has all these, and there's a different picture of it, they didn't show it on the current one. I will post this on TAGSPodcast.com. They took that picture down, the original one, which did show the original guy with all the scabs still on his body. And, we feel for him, we have empathy for him, but I don't
Yeah.
think he should be on the subway.
Oh, not
Also,
at all.
Kodi, I just got my haircut at the barber, and my barber told me that a guy came in earlier, one of his clients, and said he had monkeypox, and he still had the scab on his body.
What?
And I kind of felt bad for my barber, because, and I know his family, he has got his family, man, he's got his kids, regardless if he did or did not even have that. I don't think that you should really be out if you still have, according to the CDC, you're still infectious.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I'm worried about you. Are you okay? Like,
No, I'm vaccinated from it,
yeah.
and and it was, we don't even, no, I'm not worried about me at all.
Okay.
But
All
I
right.
also am vaccinated too. And that's another thing that we've reported on, that studies have shown that they're not conclusive, but studies already are showing that the first vaccination will prevent you from getting it. It's the second dose that is for longer terms,
Okay.
is what studies are showing.
Okay.
But I have a really strong, I'm not worried about myself. I'm more worried about my barber. And I don't know why this guy was out there getting his hair cut.
Yeah, people need to be taking this more seriously than they are, because places like New York and I think LA have declared it a public health and safety emergency. And I think that people still aren't taking it seriously. They're still thinking that it is a quote unquote gay disease. And even that woman that was on the subway, she's clearly prejudiced, and clearly I don't even understand how she could say something that was so dumb. It just shows how much people need to learn about this disease and how it's spread, and people just need to be more informed. The gay community has had to deal with this already. Something like this outbreak before with HIV and things of that nature. And I think that we're more prepared for it, so we know what the warning signs look like. And I think that makes us more apt to go and do the things that are necessary for us to protect our community. So I really hope everybody just gets informed, and they really stay on top of this and really take it seriously.
I 100% agree. We'll keep this conversation going, because I don't think monkeypox is going away anytime soon, but we always give you what the latest is and what's going on with that. Well, in Florida, not our favorite place, but there is a Miami drag brunch that's been targeted for closure by Governor DeSantis, and it happens to be at a restaurant that I know the owners. It's in the Wynwood district, Our House. Shout out to Rocco, chef, owner of Our House. I've known him for years, and I really love this space. I did a whole feature on Our House a couple years ago, a video piece on it, and I just love it. Well, they're having this successful drag brunch that's been going on for a while, but Governor DeSantis is trying to shut down Our House, which hosts the drag brunch, because it garnered the governor's eye and became the target of a Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulations over a video of one of the shows. And in it, this is what I'm reading here, a scantily clad drag queen walks holding the hand of a young brunch attendee. The queen was wearing a G-string and nipple covers, and the child with her had a dollar bill in their hand. Quote, having kids involved in this is wrong, DeSantis said. That is not consistent with our law and policy in the state of Florida, and it is a disturbing trend in our society to try to sexualize these young people. Okay.
Wow.
Earlier this week, DeSantis announced the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation investigation, revealing that state agents had covertly attended several shows. According to the Miami Herald, the state's complaint against Our House focuses on, quote, performances and simulated sexual activities in front of kids. I would like to hear if there was sexual activity going on. Later, the Huff also posted that the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation filed an administrative complaint for disorderly conduct against Our House, citing, get this, a 75-year-old Florida State Supreme Court ruling prohibiting men impersonating women. So they are going way back
in
time to cite. I mean, like you said before, is this the Dark Ages? I think you said it on a recent episode of what is going on. What are your thoughts?
What else are they going to try and bring back? Oh,
yeah,
100 years? What the?
This is garnering a lot of attention. Could potentially threaten to close down Our House. Is garnering the attention of neighboring Wilton Manor, which is in Fort Lauderdale, on the threatening of our drag queens and what this could mean. Given the little bit of information that Our House that was stated, do you think that children, let's just put that one question out there, should be allowed to be at a drag queen show based on the storyline that they suggested? Scantily clad G-string with a dollar bill in his hand. If that is in fact, using air quotes, the truth.
Okay. Yeah, I take all of this story and everything DeSantis says with a grain of salt. So I still think that even in those circumstances, it should be left up to the parent, because the parent ultimately had to bring the child to the drag show. I also think that...
Can I stop you on that one point?
Go
because
ahead.
Silas says the same thing watching us live. We're live. It's up to the parents. And if that child had a dollar bill or something in his hand, how many times do people give their friends or somebody, here, go up to them, here's $1? That child probably didn't have his own dollar bill in his hand.
Drag money.
And drag queens don't give away money. We know all drag queens, they're in the business of taking money in, ka-ching, ka-ching. They are not giving money out. So I have a feeling that the only reason that child had $1 in his bill was because his parents gave it to him.
Exactly. And I can tell you, this child has grown up in and around the Miami area. He has seen someone in a G-string before. Okay.
Yeah, right. And then some.
I think that if it was more heteronormative in the way that everything was all set up, as if the person was in a G-string, I think DeSantis would not have a problem with what went down. I think the only thing that really is getting up his grinding his gears is the fact that it was a gay experience that this child was having, not necessarily anything sexual or anything like that, but like he's exploring what it means as far as sexuality and drag is concerned. I think that DeSantis has probably even kind of pressed heterosexuality on his own children and not even thought anything about it.
Yeah, I think he has bigger fish to fry in the state of Florida than worrying about drag queens and drag brunches, which are always a happy experience. And I don't know why this is he's also slated to run for president, and this is the things that he's worrying about. Monkeypox, meningitis was a big issue recently in the gay community or the LGBTQ plus community in Florida. Where is all that attention going to? Monkeypox is huge. We could go on and on about Florida, and I love how he's focused on
Florida, man,
because it's a political talking point right now that is really dividing the country right now, and that's why he's doing that. It has nothing to do with what may not have gone on, and like we said at the beginning, it's up to the parents. That's
right.
Yeah, and ain't nothing wrong with the drag queen and children. If anything, it's going to make them more empathetic, open-minded, and good, however they turn out to be, hetero, non-binary, whatever they choose to be. They're going to have a more open-minded, because drag queens exist.
Exactly. I could not agree more.
And thank
And
God.
they bring so much happiness.
Says propaganda at its finest. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Yeah. All right. Well, we've got to move on to the UK. Kodi, you and I were recently talking about the lack thereof of public sex happening here in New York City, based on a recent study that polled the city of less misdemeanors being handed out in places like the Long Island Railroad, the train stations, Penn Station. We're just seeing a lack of public sex happening in New York City, which we were kind of saddened by recently when we were talking about that. Well, over in the UK, the opposite seems to be happening. Even though temperatures are high, a kinky couple, gay guys, defied public health official warnings to avoid rigorous outdoor activities by having sex on the roof of a public parking lot, just as the UK was sweltering through its hottest day in history. And the shocking incident occurred in Birmingham, England, around midday last Tuesday, as temperatures soared above 100 degrees. The brazen Brits were busted by a worker watching from the window of a nearby office building. This does remind me of a recent story we were talking about, very similar in an office space, though.
Oh, yeah.
The spectator recorded the romp on their phone before posting the frisky footage on Twitter. Lots to talk about on this story, but the video's kind of hot. It's on asphalt in the middle of a rooftop. The guys, they're kind of hot. All you see is Nikes in the air of the guy on the bottom, who's clearly on the bottom. The other guy took his shoes off and is mounting him with a beautiful butt and great quads. It looks like they were taking matters into their own hands and putting on a show, if you ask me, because why would you have sex in the middle of a parking lot with buildings, high rises surrounding you if you didn't want to get caught? Sounds to me like they knew what they were doing. They didn't give a fuck. Maybe the high temperatures got to their head and they thought, fuck it, let's fuck.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah.
Because if you can't do it in the middle of the summer, when are you going to do it? January? Hell no, it's too damn cold outside.
Would you do this?
I would totally do this. I might be moving to the UK because they seem to have gotten it right. We're getting less tickets over here, or we're doing it smarter. I don't know. It could be either or, but I think that I am all about public sex, and I really enjoy having sex outside. I need to really talk my boyfriend into having more public sex. I think that what really kind of alarms me is that people are starting to record it more and more. So I don't understand what the preoccupation is as far as with people whipping out their phones and really just recording.
Come on. What are you talking about?
Live and let live.
So I'm talking to somebody right now that is always on. If you hang out with Kodi, he's always on his phone.
But I'm not recording people having sex.
But we go back to the original point that I made. If you're going to do it in a parking lot, top floor, open with high rises around you, pants down, you like that lifestyle, and you're not a voyeur, you're a forgetting the word. Well, anyway, you like to put on a show. So
exhibitionist. There it is. I blanked out.
Yeah. You're an exhibitionist, so you like to put it out there. And so I think, yes, when you put it out there in this day and age of cell phone recordings, people are going to record it, but you can't see their faces, so it's not that scandalous.
I don't know. I think that if I'm having sex in public, I do want people to watch. You are right, but I just don't want people to record it. That's just my personal feelings.
But you just have to know that that's part of the game. So if we bounce this off of the last story that was in the UK, which was in an office building, and all these guys were coming from the pub and caught them in the office space, I don't know what's worse. I think that's worse because you have the potential of getting caught by your work and getting fired. This one, you can't really see them, and it's on a rooftop, and you're on your free time, hopefully you don't work at that company that owns the parking lot where you could get fired too. But I'm more for this one, although I'm not into rope burn or asphalt burn. And I feel like,
It
you know,
does
when you
seem
walk,
like-
yeah, one of them's barefooted, like, ouch, like that would burn too much. And does
Oh,
the other
yeah.
one have like scrapes and lesions all over his back and ass?
Not from monkeypox, but yes,
Not from
probably.
monkeypox. Yeah. Exactly. What are people saying before we move on?
So Daddy's 12234 says, if I was the spectator, I would have just broke out the popcorn and enjoyed the show. And Silas put the popcorn emoji right into the chat because he agrees. Oz agrees with me that Oz would like for them to watch, but not necessarily film. And Blake says, Kodi, you need to go to a sex party that has a no phones policy. And I think that is probably the part where I need to ensure that if I'm having sex outside or in public, that there is a no phones policies. I do agree with that. And Silas
says, Madonna concert.
I could have a concert and have them confiscate all the phones.
Yes, put them in those pouches that when they take your phone away and you don't get it till the end of the
I love that
exhibitionist show that you're putting on. Yeah, you could do that. You know, I think right now, forget about bathroom stall sex and all that. It's all about parking. I think it's parking structures. Because parking structures, there's nooks and crannies, there's outdoor rooftop areas, there's the ability to dodge cars. People aren't really paying attention. Some are. Maybe you want them to pay attention. It's a little cleaner than a dirty ass bathroom. You don't know what has gone on in there. I'm kind of for this parking structure sex.
I'm gonna see your tail on CCTV then, okay? Because they also have a lot of cameras in there, which is something that they don't have in public restrooms.
Correct. Yeah. So there you go. You're always being filmed, Kodi, whether you like it or not. All right. Well, it got to move on. Frank Arthur Smith's new web series showcases polyamory in a new way. And Frank Arthur Smith's Open to It, it's called Open to It, was chosen as an official part of Outfest out in LA for their official 2022 lineup. And Smith, who has created a sex positive web series that showcases truly what it means to be open. Representation remains crucial, and that could not be more true on Open to It, with the show boasting a 50% female, 50% biracial people of color, 67% queer cast and crew. And when asked about it, he has some drag queens in there, superstars, but he really wanted to show a positive side to polyamory and open relationships. Open to It is about a loving gay couple played by Tim Wardell and the star, who experiment with becoming a hot gay throuple. The third being played by Jason Caceres, but threesome sex and open relationships come with more complications than limbs. As to the story behind it, quote, I've watched a number of excellent queer web series over the years, and polyamory is consistently portrayed as this downtrodden apocalyptic relationship format. I wanted to make a show with a more upbeat, joyous take on non-monogamy. The queer experience is vast, and we deserve to showcase more than one perspective on the topic, especially because having multiple partners is not wholly exclusive to our community.
Yep.
So, Kodi, I love this and that it's showing it in a positive way. Oftentimes, we've been accused at times on our show of being against open relationships because a lot of our hosts aren't into it, but I'm totally for it. And I think it's really great. If you talk about Uncoupled with Neil Patrick Harris on Netflix right now, I started watching that. It's really great. We were talking about it the other day. Yep. He's recently out of a long-term relationship and is out in the dating game. We are really in a good place right now where we are portraying the reality of what we're seeing on the streets. In other words, it's no longer just the coming out experience, but now we're seeing what our complicated LGBTQ plus lives really look like when we're in relationships. And I'm here for it. What were your thoughts about this? Because you aren't into that.
I'm into whatever relationship works for that certain person. I personally could not do an open relationship or polyamory, but whatever works for you, I'm here for it. What do your thing over there, and I'm going to continue live and let live, like I said in the last segment. Just don't record it. Don't record me, basically. I think it's a perspective that I definitely am happy to learn more about, because it's not something that I'm used to seeing or that I even have the cognizance to really know about, just by the nature of who I am. So I'm glad that it's being portrayed and being dealt with in an open-minded and in a joyful view. So I'm here for it.
But we all have known, I'm sure you know, plenty of people that have been in open relationships throughout the years, and we haven't seen it.
People that have
I totally do.
I don't know if I have.
But you know they exist.
I know they exist.
Yeah, we were in Fire Island and went to a house by your boyfriend's friends, and there was a couple that I know for a fact are in an open relationship. Why do I know that? Because they've tried to come on to me before separately. So I like how you were at a party that your boyfriend took us to, and I know for a fact.
I do know people who are in open relationships.
Thank you very much. Open your eyes. Abre los ojos, mijo.
I just don't mind other people's business, I guess. I just kind of like.
But I like how I don't really know anybody. Really? That exists, Steve? It's like, bitch,
no,
please.
I know it exists, but I just am not in their bedroom kind of critiquing whatever they do.
I think we need to see more examples of this to normalize that the various intricacies of our relationships, so that it does become less stigmatized or the other, and we can have conversations about this. Before shows like Pose, a lot of people that opened people's eyes up to the transgender experience in the 80s and the early 90s, and how monumental that was, and paved the way for not only people of color, the transgender community, the AIDS
really
epidemic.
A lot of eyes.
And that's just one show that did that on so many levels. We need to see more of this, and it will less become stigmatized or other. We keep talking about that word, and I think it's good. I'm here for it.
Too. Yeah. I think it's wonderful, and
I've demonized you against it.
It's okay. I'm more than willing to share that, to look at that perspective. And once they said they had drag queens in it, I was sold anyway. So I'm here for it. So let's go.
Good.
I'm watching. We can watch it together.
What are people saying about our last topic about sex on the rooftop before I find our next topic, Kodi?
James says his neighbors used to do it in the window, and he would watch all the time, and they knew that he was watching. And then he put the little devil emoji on there. And I said, oh, I love window sex. It is one of my favorite things. Okay, I'm going to share.
Please do.
In my boyfriend's old apartment, I used to put him in the window to where he was spread eagle in the window, and I would just go to town on him. I love window sex. I don't care who can see, as long as they're not recording, we're good to go.
Kodi, I don't know why you don't think people are not going to be recording you, but they are. So you just need to get over that.
I make all the neighbors sign an
NDA.
An NDA, that's what it's called. So I have all my bases covered. Thank you so much. I go to every door like Jehovah's Witness. Yes, I do.
I love it. Well, we love Michael Henry on the show, who produces and stars in various YouTube skits. And the latest one has him talking about the age-old question about circumcision or not, cut or not cut. In this one, I will post this on TAGSPodcast.com, but Michael is hanging out at the park getting a lesson from Clint and Adrian about the importance of moisturizing elbows and knees. I love a good moisturization.
and hands, honey.
Yeah.
And hands.
I don't. Some people just stop coating on the face. I'm the entire body's moisturized.
I moisturize my penis. Okay.
Good for you. Elbows and knees. Although Henry doesn't really get how elbows come into the game, Matthew drops by and immediately assumes the discussion is all about skin, is of course about foreskin. Lines are immediately drawn in the sand on the topic, with Michael being a big fan of foreskin, but Clint and Adrian are a hard pass. Fortunately, Matthew, who has a degree in circumcision from Yale University, according to him,
where do I sign up?
He comes in with all the factoids from the forefront of foreskin. Clint offers that he thinks it's, quote, unnatural to be uncircumcised, leading Matthews to inform him it's literally the opposite. The discussion moves into several pros and cons of having or not having foreskin, including hygiene, sensitive issues, and appearance. Along the way, Michael drops the statistic that 76 to 90% of American boys are circumcised versus 20% elsewhere. He then declares circumcision is genital mutilation.
Yeah.
They go on. It's funny. It's a cute skit. Where do you stand? I love this whole where you stand on it or not, when you can't really help where you, in other words, I was circumcised like many Catholic boys, American, and it is what it is. You just are what you are. But I like this preference towards one or the other. I really don't care.
Yeah.
Like one of my questions was not last night at speed dating, cut or uncut, because I think I would
right when you sit down, I would have loved that. I would have loved to see the reaction.
Right. And I think the one thing about speed dating that I loved last night, because most of the time I've been known to go to places, cruising bars, to meet guys, and it's all about sex. This was so nice to just take sex off the table and have a conversation at speed dating. But I don't really care in the end if you're cut or uncut. Do you? And do you have a preference?
I don't have a preference. I was kind of offended when they said, remember when they said in the video, Michael Henry said he's never turned down a penis. And
yeah, I love that.
And that was so funny to me. And
I'm kind of on that boat.
Me too. Yeah. I think I am. They said
Penis Island.
The two friends were like, that sounds a little sad. And I was like, am I sad? I never turned down a penis.
It's just an age-old argument that is pointless, because what you can't tell, I mean, maybe you can tell if you're in Europe or parts of Latin America, you have a good chance of what you're gonna get. And hopefully you like that, what they're serving.
I like it either way.
In general, in New York here, let's just take New York, for example. My friend Shawnette and I are always talking about how international New York is. You hear so many languages down the street. You can't tell who's going to be cut or uncut in New York City. You just can't, because it's so surprise. International.
And I love it. I love a surprise.
If you really had a preference to, I kind of feel bad for you, because there's a 50% chance that you're going to be disappointed. And that is not, there are so many, like, are you a douchebag is what I wanted to ask speed dating people across from me. Are you a douchebag or not? Check the box right now. I need to know, because we can make this a 1-minute conversation versus a 5-minute conversation. Yeah, nobody was a douchebag, so they all stayed for the 5 minutes. But I don't care if you're cut or uncut.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down in my notes. I said, I have never turned down a penis. I just turned down the assholes that are attached to them.
I love that. Did you make that up on your own?
I did.
Wow. I love that. Can you quote that and send it to me? I'll put that on TAGSPodcast.com and open up the show notes with that. We need that.
I will. I'll send it right to you.
I hope I didn't talk over you. I don't think I did. I'm going to use that in tomorrow's promo.
Fabulous. I can't wait.
And quote it out. Yay. Thank you for that. You did my work for me tomorrow. James says, I love uncut. Okay. But would you turn down a cut person? Is it a deal breaker? I love, Silas says, the question is, does it work? Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Like, forget all this bullshit about cut or uncut. Does it work?
Do we need to take the necessary measures to make it work? Okay,
Silas
because
says your
I
gay
can work with a
housewife's
lot.
tagline.
I saw that. It made me giggle. And it
Ultimate,
is.
Oz says ultimately doesn't matter. Good hygiene and good penis health is what matters. Yeah, that was one of the things that they talked about in the skit,
Yeah.
Michael Henry video, that if you are uncut, that make sure you wash it and keep it clean. So you got to do a lot of extra work. You're always late, Kodi. So I hope is that why you're always late? Are you uncut? You're always cleaning that.
I gotta wash my penis, baby.
Joe's like, honey, get back in there. You aren't clean yet.
No, that is not
Is
why.
that why? Oh, you're just
Beauty,
late.
this beauty does not happen in a short amount of time. Okay. If I came to wherever I was looking a mess, then I could see how you would be able to read me or maybe look down on me. But I come looking fantastic I bring it every ball. Okay.
Just 25 minutes late, but yeah.
And I bring it every ball. So if I come looking a mess, that's when you can be like, okay, maybe you need to take a little bit of extra time back at the house, honey. Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry. I will have no problem telling you to go back and clean up a little bit more. In fact, I would enjoy that. James said you should always wash it and that hole. Silas says uncut is more significantly sensitive. Yes, they talk about that on the video. They happen to be more fun to play with, just saying. Yeah, I think more.
I just had a flashback. Oh, it's getting hot in here. I need to cut on my air conditioner, baby.
Major props to Michael Henry because they covered all these topics on there, including when you're giving head to somebody that's uncut, how they make so much noise. It's like they're always their eyes are behind their head because they just can't handle the sensitivity.
That happens anytime I give head. What are you talking about?
Oh, here we go. Okay. Well, exorcism. Yes, exorcism eyes. All right. Well, we've got to go to our last topic, which is our favorite one of the night, right, Kodi?
Yes.
And do you like how I skipped around and edited the show?
You better work.
Okay.
Right in the moment. Come on, live show.
Live editing. That just means we have more topics for next week. This is our favorite segment that Straight Up Gay Porn has been doing for so long. Excuse me. It's called Thirst Trap Recap. This week, they're asking which of these 17 gay porn stars took the best photo or video. And our job is to vividly describe on an audio podcast when this gets repackaged out and tell you guys why we picked the ones. Should I start, Kodi, or do you want to start?
I start. I think I started last time, so you go this time.
Okay, let me find him. It was a video. Let me take up a little bit of time. Is this one? Yes.
We have the same one.
Yes. Lydian Gray.
Oh, I follow him on TikTok. No, on Twitter.
Yeah, Lydian Gray. Let me turn the sound down as I'm watching it right now. Has the floppiest of dicks. And if you go on his Twitter account, he uses a floppy eggplant to describe it. It is so thick and juicy and meaty and floppy. And he's got an OnlyFans. In this, he lifts up his shirt. He's got glasses on, which I love, like I have. He's got a nice hairy chest. And he takes that floppy dick and pulls it up and squirts out a huge cum load, which is juicy. I usually do go on their Twitter account and find out a little bit more, and he's a power top and makes a lot of people happy, and he's kind of domineering in it, so he gets my vote. I already voted for him, and yum, I'm here for him. Lydian Gray, Grey.
So my vote goes to this week, Sean Xavier. And we were talking about moisturization a little bit earlier. And he's in the gym, in a gym locker room, and he's completely
I'm
naked.
watching it right now. That hairy bush.
It's so hot.
And that dick is bobbing. I want to bob for that dick. Like bobbing for it's like
he's got the camera right underneath where the penis is, and it's right below his fat swinging cock, and he's rubbing lotion or oil all over his body.
That's an upscale. Can we just talk about how upscale this gym must be with the mahogany wood that matches his skin? I mean, matches the skin.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
This ain't my trashy ass gym.
It ain't my. I go to Blink. It is not Blink.
We
Okay.
know Blink doesn't have this locker room going on, child. Please.
But he
She
just
got
looks so
money. She
gorgeous.
got some money.
She got coins, honey.
She's expensive.
Okay?
Yeah.
But the video itself is just so erotic. It's shot with like this beautiful old-timey film noir filter on top of it, and I just dig it.
It's called
the best.
Mahogany.
What is the quote from Mahogany with Diana Ross?
Oh, where's your picture of her that's normally behind you that you could? I don't know.
I haven't had Diana Ross behind me since I started the show at the new apartment. I need to get a shot.
That's why you've been off.
Right there.
I'm kidding.
That's why I was late today.
Yeah, right. Let's read some other people's. Joey Miles for the face is Silas's. Sean is my number one, though. Sean who?
Sean Xavier.
Sean Xavier. Oh, the one you picked.
Yeah. Moisture. And I agree 100%.
Both Daddy and both Daddy and Blake are for Carter Layton.
Okay.
Again, I'll post this on TAGSPodcast.com and you can vote yourselves and see why people are picking him. And what does Xavier say?
Xavier says Chris White for him, ginger pubes, close up for the win. And I agree. That was one of my close seconds right there. Him and Steve Ricks, who should be clicking all the bells for me. He's got his big, beautiful buttocks in the frame, and he's playing a video game, and it should really have rang all the. I should have voted for that one, but really, Sean Xavier really did his thing on the thirst trap. So
okay, a lot of Sean Xavier and Carter Layton's. Chris White for me says Le Wilden.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. All right. Thanks for playing on that. And you guys listening to can always play along too and let us know. Go to TAGSPodcast.com for episode 388 when this show gets repackaged. Thanks for watching us on YouTube as well. Don't forget about our book selection. You can still get it because we're going to start talking about it probably in the end of the month. Heaven's Official Blessings is the book that we are summer reading. Check that out. You can always follow my co-host. He's a life coach at KMD Coaching on Instagram or Mr. Maurice. Follow us at Tags Podcast. And Kodi, in the meantime, thanks, live virtual audience.
Yes.
Continue having hot gay
sex.
Yes. Love it. Nice.